Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Is it that others are not aware? Is it that others are not aware of the class?
So
We are
let's
aware.
just wait a little.
We are
They
aware.
are joining, sir.
Good evening. Good evening. Yeah, I hear you. Good evening. I can hear you. Good evening. I say good evening. Good evening. Hello. Hello.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Okay. While we are waiting for others to join, please, let us quite kindly try to see how we can recall where we stopped the last time. Because we'll be starting our class with a brief recap of what we did the last time. So while we are waiting, let's say in the next 5 minutes, just quickly go through what we did the last time and try to recall where we stopped so that we can start from there. Thank you. Hello, can I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good evening and welcome once again.
Thank you. Good evening, sir.
Please, especially to those who were in our last class, although we also have a recorded version of our classes, so I'd like us to do a brief recap of what we did last time. So if you have anything to say based on what we discussed the last time, kindly unmute yourself and speak. Let's start from there. What did we do in our last class? What happened now? We learned to forget. At least we should remember one thing now. Hello, can I be heard? This is SWPCE 602. You can't remember anything that was discussed? Okay, where did we stop? Can I be heard at all?
Sir, you
Can
have
you even...
been heard. You have
Okay,
been heard.
where did we stop in our last class, please?
Hello, sir.
Yes.
I think for me, I joined yesterday, and where I joined was when we are talking about referral.
Okay.
You mentioned two types of referral, external and the internal and extra referral.
Okay. Can you differentiate them?
You said the internal referral is operates within the environment.
Okay.
Operates within the environment, while external refers to outside the environment where people reside. Also
Okay.
mention of follow up as a social worker. Another key point of social work is the intervening process. You also mentioned the role of HOD in social work is to identify problem and solve and know how to solve the problem. I think that is where I stopped.
All right. Thanks for the effort. We appreciate that effort. I don't know if we have any other comments. If you have any other comments, you can kindly unmute yourself and speak. All right, in my engagement with you the last time, we talked about the fact that social work is a profession, and as licensed social workers, or licensed social workers are considered to be professionals. We took a brief consideration, a look at what being a professional means, and what makes the social work profession a profession, right? And we also considered why it's necessary for social work to be guided by ethical principles, right? And we concluded our class last time by looking out at the 6 core values that makes up social work. And we're able to identify these core values as service to humanity, social justice, dignity and worth of a person, importance of human relationship, integrity, and lastly, competence. So I will still want to do a brief recap of these core values that makes up social work because they are very important. And as social workers, we need to have it at the tip of our fingers because our practice, our engagement with clients during the course of professional relationship is dependent on our understanding of these core values. For you to succeed in that professional relationship in your intervention with clients, you need to understand these core values and tailor your intervention, anchor your intervention on these core values. That is when you'll be you'll be practicing social work, and that is when you'll be free from some ethical violations or boundary violations, right? So one of the first things we'll be looking at when we're talking about service to humanities as a core value in social work is pointing to the fact that one of the primary goals of social work is to help people in need, to address social problems. Yes. So whatever you're doing, you should know that your responsibility is to, as a social worker, is to render services that are geared toward helping people address their problems associated with social problems, right? That is why we are considered to be social engineers. Another thing is social workers elevate services of others or elevate services to others above self-interest. Yes, so you should understand that when it comes to your relationship or service, the services you render to client, your interests shouldn't be above that of others, the client you seek to assist, right? So the people we work with, we try to elevate their interests above that of ours. So that is what it means to provide services to humanity. That means at some point you expect to discomfort yourself just to make sure you help people, you reach out for their needs, even when it is not convenient for you. That is what it means to render service to humanity. And on social justice, as one of the core values, we say that social workers challenge social injustice. In fact, one of the core principles, or one of the goal and objectives we pursue as social workers is to address societal abnormality, right? All those problems in the society that are not normal, that seek to promote injustice, that are repugnant to natural justice, we seek to address them. So it's just like a lawyer would say, you're looking for a client. As social workers, your clients are around you because the society is even your clients. Those little things you see within the society that have and will I say a kind of a structure that makes it possible to promote or to permit injustice, we seek to address them. We seek to challenge them. Are there policies? Are there bylaws? Are there customs or traditions or even religious beliefs that has some underlying undertone that seeks to promote injustice? We address them. We arrest them. We whistleblow. We call the attention of those in authority to order to say, please, this thing, although it has good intention, this policies has good intention, although this law has good intention, although this custom and tradition has good intention, but it is opening the door for injustice to prevail, and you establish your point. Now, what is expected of you as a social worker is to anchor or to tailor your intervention in a way it meets or fall within the expounded boundaries, within the framework of these core values. Social workers are social change agents, and we put efforts primarily on issues of poverty, unemployment, discrimination, and other forms of social injustice. When we talk about poverty, we talk about discrimination, we talk about unemployment. Oftentimes, these are issues that borders around injustice. A lot of persons are unemployed today as a result of injustice. How? I can explain. There are a lot of young, qualified graduates roaming the streets, but because they're not connected, they're not employed. But children from the high and mighty in the society, those that are politically connected, the elite class, their children, even though they look know little or nothing, but because they are connected, they'll have access to these jobs. That is an injustice. And these too, because of lack of job, could lead to poverty. Oftentimes, even when the government and international organization make provision to address poverty in the society, the powerful, those that are the political class, oftentimes divert or misappropriate these funds, as such, leading to poverty or even perpetuate poverty. So that is injustice as it relates to poverty. We seek to address them. What about discrimination? A situation whereby oftentimes in some society, you see people relegating women or some set of people to the background. It could be women, vulnerable, it could be children, it could be youth, it could even be the physically challenged. Those discriminative practices in the society that are repugnant to natural justice, we also seek to focus our lenses on these practices and challenge them, right? What about dignity and worth of a person? Remember, the reason for this recap is because most of you will just added to this platform. So there's need for us to do this recap to carry you guys along. Now, dignity and worth of a person. You see that most of the clients that comes to you as social worker, or that will come to you as social worker when you eventually become licensed social workers, are people who come with a shattered sense of self-worth. They see nothing good in themselves. In fact, they see themselves as worthless. They are so confused. They are so depressed, and they feel worthless. And you can imagine someone who feels that way will always think that nothing good can come from him or her. So such a person would always feel that he cannot make a decision. Such a person feels that he lacks what it takes to even help himself. But then, in the wisdom of the profession, the social work engagement or profession and intervention is tailored in a way that takes advantage of people's strengths, their inherent strength, even though they look weak. Based on the PI, that is person in environment concepts or principle, social workers dignify their clients, dignify their service user by letting them know that yes, there is ability in disability, by respecting the inherent dignity and worth of a person. That too is therapeutic in itself. Because by the time you begin to let people who feel that they cannot do anything for themselves, they cannot achieve anything in life, letting them know that yes, in reality, they can achieve something, they can do something, is in a way, it is medicinal. It will go a long way in boosting their morale, opening their eyes to the reality of the fact that yes, they still have some inherent strength to help themselves. So what we do is to help them help themselves, right? So social workers also promote client socially responsible self-determination, and social workers also seek to enhance client capacities. So it's not all about going to help clients, no. We help clients help themselves. So if you see yourself as a social worker and you always see yourself rendering services to your clients by helping your clients, always helping your clients to do something, you failed. That is not in line with the value of social work. That is not in line with the principle of social work. That's what we are trying to say. So if you must practice in line with the core values of social work to justify that what you're doing at that material time is social work, then you must be able to respect the inherent dignity and strength of this person by helping them to identify their strength and helping them to take advantage, to leverage on their strength to help their situation and to help them come back to their mainstream of social functioning. We also talked about importance of human relationship as one of the core values of social work. That has to do with recognizing the central importance of human relationship. Social workers take cognizance or even place a high regard on relationship because it is believed that every human, all humans, come from somewhere. There's nobody, no matter how, even sometimes in movie they try to paint it, nobody, no human fell from heaven. Even in our how is it called, in most of our cherished religious or highly valued religious books, we are made to understand that even the persons we hold in high reference were given opportunity to come from a family background. Right. For example, those those in Islam believe and cherish the Prophet Muhammad, who also identified with families. Those who come from the Christian background also value and believe in Jesus Christ as the Messiah, who also identified and came from a family background. So that means that as humans, we all come from somewhere. We all have a relationship we value and treasure so much. And that is why there's this saying that if you want to know that a madman has a family, touch that madman. That is when you will know that that madman that is roaming the street begging for alms, for food, that looks abandoned, comes from a family. And you see the family members coming to challenge you for threatening their son or daughter that is mad, that has been abandoned. So that tells you the importance of human relationship. So social workers understand the importance of human relationship and tailor their intervention, and as well as recognize this importance. We know that people all come from somewhere, and we leverage on this relationship to address the problems our clients are facing. For example, if you go to the street and you see a street child, or you see a pregnant woman, the first thing you ask the street child is, where is your mother or where is your father? Where do you live? What are their names? Where are you from? Because you know that that child did not fall from heaven. If you see a pregnant woman on the street, abandoned, the next thing you ask, where's your husband? Where is he? Who is he? Why did he abandon you? Because you know that woman did not pregnant herself. So what you as a social worker is trying to do is to identify where this person comes from and to take advantage of where he or she is coming from to help that client. That is what it means to take advantage of valuing the importance of human relationships. We also talked about integrity as a core value too in social work. So social workers behave in a trustworthy manner. It is expected that as a social worker, you need to be a person of character. You need to be someone people can trust. You should be accountable in your community, in your environment, in your place of work, in your place of businesses. Are you trusted? Earlier on, we talked about value in social work. When you talk about value, it has to do with something that is very important, something you cannot do without, something if people joke with, when it has to do with you, it means they are crossing a red line. So these are values in social work that are core, very important, that you cannot do without. So in fact, it even goes to the extent that as a social worker, you need to let down your personal values and uphold the value of the profession. Yes. 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 I attended a seminar some time ago, and we're having this conversation, this engagement as to why would people even think of dabbling into same-sex marriage or gay and lesbian practice. So many persons were talking, and they were talking from a place of anger, from the place of disappointment, from the place of bitterness. But they failed to understand that these people are humans too. So when it was my turn to speak, in fact, after speaking, more than 80% of the attendants there, the participants of that conference, went home believing that I'm a gay. Because one of the questions I asked was, among these persons, most of them are hermaphrodites. Sincerely, as a person, I hate it. I hate that practice. But then, because of the core values of social work that help us to understand and identify people's need and try to connect with them, I was able to understand that they are humans, and two, sometimes most of them did not even make themselves that way. Some of them are hermaphrodites. They are active. When it comes to a male organ, it is active. When it comes to the female organ, it is active. And until we begin to identify the root cause, we will be beating around the bush. So let us accept them for who they are, understand the real situation, and begin to push for policies that would address the root cause. And what is the root cause? Like in some developed countries, what they've succeeded in doing is whenever a child is born, and notice that the child comes with two organs, that child will be automatically subjected to a test to see the dominant parts, the dominant organ, and the one that is less dominant can be removed. In fact, some government have even made it to be free. Like the government subsidized that operation, whereby that organ that is not dominant will be removed, and the government will take care of the bills. This is to make sure that this child does not grow up with those two organs and to be stuck with his or her identity, to either identify him as a male or a female. The child should grow up with that dominant organ, while the other one is removed. We could borrow a lift from such practices or such policies from developed countries, instead of beginning to shy away from the topic and begin to castigate them, begin to abuse them and shame them. You see that instead of coming out to speak, you see them hiding, and the practice will still be there. And who are the victims? Our children, our unborn children, because they will be there underground talking to them, and most of them are very rich and influential. You see them convincing our children to become part of them, those practices, and they pay them heavily. And mind you, Nigeria is poor. We are poor. That's why you see people doing anything because of money. So that is what it means. So as social workers, we need to be people of value, people of character, right? You should be trustworthy. People should respect you. And like it is said, respect and trust is not something you demand. It's something you earn, right? By virtue of your engagement, by virtue of the way of you conduct yourself, people see you and respect you. Social workers act honestly and responsibly and promote ethical practices. One of the ways you can maintain integrity is to practice within the expanded boundaries of principles of social work, the ethical principles of social work, as well as the core values of social work. And finally, we talked about the competence of social, the value, the competence as a value in social work. Yes. Social workers practice within their areas of competence. Yes, social work practice is broad. The practice base of social work is as broad as the entire globe. To be sincere with you, there is no area, there is no aspects of human life, as far as humans is concerned, that social work does not have a role. So that means that there are very different areas of social work. So you cannot be a jack of all trade, master of all. It's not possible. So as a social worker, you need to be competent in your area. So you begin to ask yourself, what area am I interested in? And if you're interested in a particular area, let's say psychiatric social work, medical social work, school social work, and lots more, you should be able to develop your expertise, your skill in that area, and also understand how other areas operate, so that by the time you have a client that is exhibiting some qualities or some symptoms that you cannot handle, you should know where to refer such clients to. That comes to what you discussed last time about referrals. There are things you cannot handle as social work because it falls outside your area of specialty. Then you should be able to know the social worker, the area of specialization that can address that. For example, we have medical social work and psychiatric social work. Of course, you want to say that psychiatric social work is also medical per se, but then you should be able to understand the difference. And you know that, okay, fine, this is my client portraying these symptoms. I think this client needs a psychiatric attention, not a medical attention. And as such, you should know where to refer such clients accordingly. And another thing that can make you competent is for you to be conversant with your environment. Oftentimes, my student calls me to tell me, I have this client, or I have this, I'm working in a school environment, or I saw these abandoned children and they are school dropouts. Which agency can I refer this client to, or can I take them to? And I will quickly tell them, okay, fine. Based on the environment or the city we find ourselves, I'll tell them, okay, fine. You can take them to so-and-so agency. You can take them to so-and-so NGO. That is because I am conversant with my environment. So ask yourself, where you find yourself, how many social work agencies or service providing agencies do you know in your environment? Just assume or imagine that the client comes to you with a serious problem that you've never handled before. And one thing about social worker as a principle is that no matter the situation, you must first of all accept. We'll come to that later. You must accept, whether it's within your expertise or not. You must first of all accept that client, admit the client, and then after making an assessment, before you can now refer to the client to the appropriate quarters. So it's not a matter of say, this is your problem. It's not something I can handle. Go and find a way. No, you must accept the client. And it's now your responsibility to refer that client to where he or she can receive help. So this calls for you understanding the different specialties, areas of social work, and where they are domiciled in your city to easily make referrals. You must also be ready to learn, be open to learning. You must progress you must continue to progress in the practice, right? You must be open to learning. You must be willing to attend crash programs, seminars, workshops, conferences in social work. This is how you build your capacities, and this is how you become competent and completely equipped to practice social work. Social workers continually strive to increase their professional knowledge and skills and apply them in practice. But then you might wonder, is knowing social work core values the solution to social work practice? Well, these rules, despite the fact that they are important, they are not cast on stone. That does not mean you can override them. What it means in practice is that there are things you need to consider as more important. Just like George Orwell will say that all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. Yes, these principles and practice of social work, as well as core values of social work, are equal and important. But depending on the situation at hand, some are more equal than others. I will explain. And this takes us to ethical principles screen, according to Lewinburg-Docloff, 1996. Now, EPS, that is Ethical Principles Screen, offers social workers practical guidelines on professional decision making. Yes, in practice, oftentimes social workers can be faced with what refers to as ethical dilemma, a situation where you have two conflicting choices that you must comply. You must pick one. So because you must pick one does not mean you must pick anyhow. Ethical principle screen is now helping us to identify what we should take into consideration before settling for a particular choice. Mind you, I said something earlier in our last class that the fact that you're a social worker and you're working with a client does not mean you should practice anyhow. You must be organized, you must be professional. Because you see, even in the next 20 or 50 years, your practice, your engagement with that particular client can be subjected to tests. Something might come up that your clients you're working with today might come up in the next 20 years to accuse you that in the process of working with him or her, you abused her or you abused him. There will now be need for us or for the body that is assigned to look into that case, to go to the file and see the steps you followed during the course of intervention. And all those steps, those procedures will be questioned. Okay, fine. We noticed that at this point, you had opportunity of settling for another choice other than the one you settled for. Okay, why didn't you settle for choice A? You decided to settle for choice B. What was your decision? What was your reason? You should be able to explain, you should be able to justify that. Okay, fine. I did not settle for choice A, but rather I settled for choice B because of this, because of that. And now these are the things, the yardstick, the benchmark for deciding on which choices to make, right? One, according to Lewinburg and Douglas, he said that ethical principles screen guarantee the basic survival needs of all. The protection of person's life, both life of the client and the life of others, must take precedence over every obligation, right? So that means no matter how important a principle is, before applying that principle, you need to ask yourself, will it guarantee the survival needs of these clients? I will explain. Let's say this client comes to you and you notice that this client is threatening to kill someone else because the person offended him, or no matter the level of provocation, your clients should not commit murder under your watch, right? You must be able to do something to stop. Not like it is not possible for your client to still go ahead to commit murder. It is still possible, but you must do something within your power to discourage him or her, right? Now, you cannot at this point be saying, okay, because our clients, there's a principle that said my clients have right to make decisions for him or his or herself. There's a principle that said I need to uphold the dignity and the strength of these clients. So let me pay deaf ears. And you allow that client to carry out his or her thoughts. In the end, that client will feel regret and will be saying, do you know how that client will be crying? The client will now be crying that, I regret this thing I've done. Oh. The time I told my social worker, I wish you advised me. If you had advised me, I wouldn't have done this. And you can imagine, when the disciplinary committee is hearing that confession, that means, oh, you've actually confided in your social worker and he did not say anything. You can be charged for accomplice. And in law, it is referred to as either accessory to the fact, before the fact, or accessory after the fact. That makes you an accomplice. Another thing is the promotion of equitable, equal, and accessible opportunities for all. This thing you're trying to do, will it promote equitable distribution of goods and services to all? This thing your client is saying you should do, will it block others from accessing services? Will it deprive others from accessing services? It's not because you're working with your client and your interest is just focused on your client. If your client's action or the choice you want to settle will deprive others. Now, this is the point. You're trying to help someone come back to his or her footing. That does not mean it is enough to help this person to come back to his or her footing and then drive 10 people back to poverty or suffering. It is wrong. So you need to be careful. The choice your client is taking, is it that which would now push or relegate others to a worse situation? Then those are things you need to consider. You also need to consider the fact that whatever decision they are making or whatever choices you're making in the course of intervention, it should be that which will promote the autonomy and independence of your client's freedom. Do not in any way try to micromanage your client. Do not in any way try to direct or try to decide or make decisions for your client. Please avoid the temptation of being sentimentally attached to your clients. And also avoid the temptation of allowing your clients to be sentimentally attached to you. You have two choices and you want to settle for one. The two choices are right, but you want to settle for one. One of the things you should take into consideration is which of these two choices has the potential to harm my client more. No matter how good that choice is, if that choice will expose your client to further harm, then the other choice is better than that one, even though the two choices are correct. I will explain. A client comes to you. This client is physically challenged, and because of his or her condition, the client wants to take his or her life. And he comes to you to tell you, I want to commit suicide. Fine. The reason why the client is depressed is because probably the society has rejected him or her, or the society, even the parents, the family are frustrated. And every day he or she wakes up to see the parent, the frustration in the families or the relatives' faces, and the fact that he cannot even take responsibility for himself to work and earn a living to take care of himself and even take care of others is also frustrating too, right? And the client begins to feel like, okay, fine, it's good at this point, let me end it all. It is true that if the client decides to take his or her life, the client will stop feeling depressed. The client will die and go, and even the pressure, the frustration from the parents or the family will no longer be there. They will just feel bad that, oh, this person has died, but then I think it's not a bad one. Let him go and rest so that we self will rest, right? If you decide to allow that client to take decision for it or to take action by virtue of the principle of self-determination, you would also be an accomplice. Because the question will now be, what did you do when this client says he or she wants to take his life? Another important thing is that ethical principles screen says while intervening, during the course of intervention, you should make sure whatever you're doing promotes better quality of life for all people. Yes. It's not something you do in a row. I want to render service. What you're doing, will it in the end, will it promote a better quality of life? Will it take them to level 0 to level 1 at least? Will there be a reasonable positive impact in the lives of your clients in the course of your intervention? Those are things you should ask. And number 6 bullet point is saying that you should maintain person's privacy. And in this case, I would say your client's privacy. That is confidentiality. Please avoid telling people whatever private discussion you have with your clients. Granted, you can share such information with a fellow social worker, a fellow colleague who is a social worker, because there are multiple reasons for doing that. One, your client might also be a support system that can contribute in helping you help that client, render services to that client. So hence, you need to expose your client situation to your colleague so that he or she knows how to come in, right? But then, and you should also know why this is even necessary, because one, or why you don't need to be scared, because one, the same principle of confidentiality that guides you or that makes it unable for you to share that information with others, it's also binding on your colleague. So you don't need to be scared. If you now communicate the client's consent to your colleague and your colleague now decides to share it with someone else, then that colleague of yours will be held responsible or accountable, right? And lastly, exposing the truth and fully disclosing relevant information to clients and others. Sometimes people will tell you, I don't know how to tell my clients this. So, whatever your clients is going through, whatever your client situation is, tell them and help them accept the situation before you cannot begin to help them. Because once a client is still denying his situation, for example, a client who lost his mom or the father, and to the client, it's like a dream. And they keep saying, this is a dream. This is a dream. It's not true. My dad is not dead or my mom is not dead. If your client continue to feel that way for the next 5 years, what do you think will happen to your client? That client is just succeeding or have just succeeded in delaying his or her grief. He or she will still grieve. Yes. And you know, one thing about life is nothing is promised. In the process of in the process of being in that denial stage, a lot of things will be happening. For example, that same person that is saying that my parents are not dead is a lie. In the process now, his wife might divorce him or her. In the process now, he might lose a cousin or a relative. All those things are piling up. And maybe in the next 5 years, if he now comes to terms with the reality that yes, true, my father and my mother don't die, together with what has happened lately, it will just pile up and collapse that client. And that is what we refer to as bereavement overload that would eventually lead to complicated grief. So you need to truthfully expose and fully disclose relevant information to your client and to others. Another example is, you're working in a hospital and a client comes to you. He's a man. And he comes to you and he noticed that, okay, fine. He was asked to go for a test, and when he came back, he noticed, okay, fine. The test came back positive. You're HIV positive? Yes. Sorry, this, that. What are your intentions? Will you tell your spouse? No. If I tell my wife this marriage don't end, I no go tell my wife. You see that if you keep quiet, you're not helping the situation, right? Your clients or our service to our client is not just, we're not looking after our client. We're also looking at our client and our client's environment. Because no matter how you try to help your clients to come back to his or her footing, if the environment is not censored, that problem will never depart. That is the truth. It's just like treating the gonorrhea from the man, and you're not treating the woman, and they still have unprotected sex. The gonorrhea will never leave. So if you're trying to address a client problem, you must also make sure the environment that predisposes that client to that problem, to that situation, must be censored. And we are not saying that at this point you will need to call the client's wife to report your client's HIV status to the wife without your client's consent. No, that would be against the principle of confidentiality. This is where your competence as a social work professional will be tested, will be subjected to tests. You need to carefully and professionally disclose the information to your clients, and also help your client to see the importance of relating same information to his or her partner, right? And your client might have reasons for not talking to or relating the situation to his or her partner. You should also be able to talk to your client's partner to understand. I have an experience I would like to share at this point. There was this client that was far back when I was in school. I was still doing my field work. I was sent to one of these hospitals, and I was posted to their heart-to-heart HIV units. So all we did was to create awareness of HIV, and also talk to clients, counsel them, and lots more. Help them to assess their medications, and those that were having problems coming because of poverty and the rest. We try to see how we can set up business for them, to see how they can have something, an income that would care for their transportation and even feeding. So along the line, one beautiful girl walked up to us and she was crying. Guess what? She's a nurse, but she was HIV positive. She just got her status and she felt disappointed. In fact, as a nurse, she was not really feeling bad for the situation because she has idea, but her problem was her fiancé, and they were to get married in less than 1 month. So her problem was, will this guy still go on with the marriage? So when we asked her, she said she got infected as a result of job hazard. Probably she was trying to inject an HIV-infected patient, and she now mistakenly pierces her hand or so. So she was now like, will my fiancé still continue with this marriage arrangement if I should tell him? So we now talked to her that she should talk to the man. We schooled her on how to approach the guy, and she couldn't. At some point, we now told her, okay, fine, see what you do. Bring him. Tell him you want to know his HIV status. The both of you should come. So when they came now, we subjected them to a kind of pre-counseling, exposing the guy to all he needs to know about HIV, the situation, the condition, and how it's even better and more preferable if sometimes we have the options to choose between these and others. So before they were now asked to go for the test. He went and he came back, and when the result came, his result was negative though. But the way we started talking again, at some point, he was even feeling like it's like this result came positive. This one they are talking to me like that. Before you know it, he begins to talk, say, if my wife or my fiance's own is positive, I can still go on with the marriage. After all, it's possible for us, from the information you've given us, it's possible for us to still go on with the marriage without me being infected, without our children being infected, blah, blah, blah. And we were happy. That means we were able to talk to him, we were able to expose him to the understanding of what HIV is all about, and we used the opportunity to tell him, or signal the fiancé to tell him that, please, this is my status. And happily, in less than 1 month, they still got married. And that is what it means to be competent. You should know how to fully disclose relevant information to your clients and to others that are involved. Okay. Now, according to Leuenberg and Doglov, as regards to the ethical principles screen, they came up with some very important insight that will guide us on how to handle ethical principles screen. They suggested that the ethical principles screen should be used in terms of ranking order when ethical decisions need to be made. Remember earlier on, if you're with your slide on page 22, you will see bullets 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? Now, according to Leuenberg and Doglov, they are suggesting that decision making should be made based on this ranking order when ethical decisions need to be taken. That the protection, according to them, protection of a person's life, for example, need to take precedence over the guarantee of autonomy, right? Like, for example, a client has autonomy and we should respect their autonomy. That is to make decisions for themselves, to choose what to do. We don't need to interfere. But what if the client's decision is to take his life? We must consider the importance of protecting that client's life over his autonomy. That is that's what they are saying. They suggested that by way of their ethical principles rule screen, that the code of ethics should be examined early in the course of ethical dilemma. That is to say that it is not when you see yourself in the face or trying to struggle ethical dilemma, that's when you must envisage this problem and you begin to see how you can handle them even before they present itself. So first, be established whether any of the rules of ethical code are applicable. The rules of ethical code must take preference over social workers' personal value system. There are times you are practicing, you're working, you're engaging with your client, and you notice that what your client is doing are things you yourself, you can never dream of doing because it's against your custom, it is against your religion. You should not give consideration to your values. Rather, you should, the ethical principle screen or the code of ethics of social work profession should take precedence, should take preference over your own personal value system. Right. And secondly, they suggested that the ethical code be adhered to where applicable. So where it's applicable, you need to follow the ethical code. It is only when it's not applicable you begin to see how you can rely on other choices for the purpose of either protecting their rights or safeguarding their lives. And thirdly, it is proposed that if the ethical dilemma cannot be addressed by the ethical code, then ethical principles screen must be followed. So we have ethical principles that we will consider. We've looked at the ethical principles screen, the ethical code, which has to do with the ethical principles. So very soon we'll now be looking at the principles, the ethical principles of social work, right? Now, they are suggesting that when a social worker is faced with dilemma, ethical dilemma, and the ethical code, that is the principles of social work, cannot address it, then the ethical the ethical principles screen should be followed. So I would like to pause here for a moment and see if I was talking to people or I've been talking to myself all along. So let me hear from you now. Let me hear from you. Any question? Please feel free to ask. Hello. I hope I can be heard.
Yes, sir. You can be heard. Right on, sir.
Okay. All right. In the absence of any question, let me quickly talk about social work accountability. Earlier on, we talked about integrity as one of the core values of social work. What it means to uphold the integrity of the profession and as a profession is that social workers are expected to be accountable. The accountability of social workers is to their clients, to their colleagues. It's not just limited to their clients, but it extends to their clients, their colleagues, their employers, their professional, association, institutions, and to the law. So social workers are accountable for their actions to the values and principles of the profession, also known as ethical standards and responsibilities, which require them to act in a reliable manner, which is expected that social workers should be honest and trustworthy. They are answerable to their clients, to their professional bodies like the Chartered Institute of Social Work, Practitioners of Nigeria, the National Association of Social Workers, NASO, the Association of Medical Social Workers, AMSWON, the Association of Social Work Educators of Nigeria, and lots more. And even the laws promulgated and enforced by appropriate government agencies, and even some bylaws by local governments, and even bylaws from chiefs or community leaders. Social workers have a responsibility to be accountable and to take responsibilities for all of this. Mind you, in Nigeria, ignorance to the law is not an excuse. So wherever you're practicing, you need to understand what is obtainable within your environment and tailor your intervention in line with your organization, in line with your employer, in line with the profession, in line with the institution you are associated with. So it would amount to absurdity if you, in the end, decide to do things your own way. That would be so unprofessional of you. There is no way in any time a social worker is expected. Fine, you can make good use of your discretion, your judgment, by virtue of your wisdom, practice wisdom. Yes. What is practice wisdom? You've been practicing social work for the past 10, 20, 15 years. And you have experience in handling some matters. That experience is what we refer to as practice wisdom. So you're expected to use your practice wisdom, but then whatever you're doing should be in line with the law. Must be in line with the mandate of the association and even the organization you're associated with. Also remember, you have a responsibility to your colleagues. You also have a responsibility to your clients. So let us now look at these ethical standards and responsibilities that social workers have as we take up the next part of our class. Okay, please. We'll be looking at 6 ethical responsibilities that social workers have, right? 6 ethical responsibilities. One of these responsibilities, I will just mention them and later we will discuss them. 1 is ethical responsibilities to clients. 2 is ethical responsibilities to colleagues. 3 is ethical responsibility to professional practice. 4 is ethical responsibilities as professionals. 5 is ethical responsibilities to the social work profession. 6 ethical responsibilities to social work institutions. Now, let us now look at the ethical responsibilities to clients. As social workers, we have some responsibilities to our clients. And among these responsibilities are 1, you have the responsibility and you should be responsible and committed to your clients. If you have a client, you must take charge of your client. You must be committed to the cause of helping your clients. And what does this mean? The primary responsibility of the profession is to promote the well-being of clients. So social workers must ensure the best interests of the clients in the helping process. So while maintaining due regard to the interests of others, you need to care for your clients. So once you are assigned to a client, you have no excuse. You must be committed to your client. You must help them. You must ensure their best interests. You must not expose them to further harm. You must not take advantage of them. The next one is informed consent. The second responsibility is informed consent. Social workers will ensure that services are provided to clients only in context of professional relationship and valid informed consent. What does this imply? You don't have any business with your clients outside professional engagements. Your relationship with your client is a professional one. Your client is not your friend. Your client is not your business partner. Your client is not your colleague. So your client should be your client. So meet with your client only when you have an appointment and engagement with your clients. And in the course of your engagement with your client, it should be professional. That means anything outside the reason for that professional relationship should not be discussed. Fine, there are some times you see yourself talking about or trying to look into things far, far beyond what your client presented. But then let it be that there is a connection, there is a link between your client's situation and what you're discussing. Yes. And social workers must inform their clients in time before taking any decision. For example, let's go back to that experience I shared with you. That nurse that was HIV positive. There was need for the fiancé to know. She was worried if the fiancé would still continue with the marriage. But then there's need. There was need for the man to know. When she hesitated, she was feeling reluctant to inform the fiancé because of fears. We did not say, give us the man's number, let us tell him. No. And even when she agreed that fine, okay, fine, it's time, I think it's necessary for him to know, we did not take it upon ourselves to tell the man. We still make sure she did it herself. Consent. So whatever you're doing with your client, make sure you get their consent. How do I mean? You're saying, fine, we need to do this, and the client just quickly. All right, sorry, network took me off. I hope I can be heard. Please, if you can hear me,
yes, sir, you can be heard.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. Thank you. So when you're looking at carrying out a task for your client on behalf of your client, and your client is in agreement with that decision, it's not enough for your client to just say, okay, please, we need to be careful. Or you should not even conclude by saying, it's after it's for my client's good now. I don't even need to ask my client. Do not presume. There is no room for assumption. You must always be sure. 100%. Like I said earlier, social work is broad. Social work is very interesting if you follow the laid down principles, the rules of engagement. Always having it at the back of your mind that you must take responsibility for your action, and each action counts. There is responsibility for every action. It might not haunt you today. It might come haunting you in the next 5-10 years. So be careful. So by the time you say, okay, I want to do this, you say your husband should not know that you're HIV positive. No, now you need to let your husband know now. And your client now said, oh, it's good. Your client said yes. You now say, yes, it's good, though. And you now say, okay, fine. After my client has agreed that it's good to let her husband know, let me go and tell the husband, go do a proko, you'll be shooting yourself in the leg. And even when your clients, I want to buttress this point. Sometimes we also consider informed consent, will I say, in an unprofessional way, in a way that is not professional. A client says, oh, it's good, right? Okay, please, no problem now. You can go ahead. Go and tell my husband. Please, I would like to ask this class, is anything wrong with that decision? The client is telling you, okay, please, no problem. Now you've managed to tell me the importance of letting my husband know my status, my HIV status. No problem. I cannot do it on my own. Please, can you just go and tell my husband? Is anything wrong with that? Okay, I can see the hand of Arinze. Please unmute yourself and speak.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Yes, please. For consent to be professional, it must be penned down. It must be written and signed by the person giving the consent. You don't just orally give consent. Tomorrow the person will say, when did I say that? Maybe I said it unknowingly. The person has to be on the know, and you must make sure that where the person is signing it is a place the person is free, not a place you say, you took me to this place and I was under duress to do this. So you must make sure that the environment matters by giving consent. And also you must make sure that it is properly written, not just you can go and tell and you go and tell. By so doing, you are actually doing it at your own risk, because tomorrow the person might say, when did I say that? And when taken to court, you find out that you'll be struggling to defend yourself. Thank you.
Beautiful submission there. Thank you, Arinze, for that contribution. We appreciate. So you see, it's not enough to say, to go ahead believing that your client has given you the approval. You need to be careful. Now, let us now see, Arinze has given us a client and this social worker's scenario. Can we now paint another scenario between the social worker and his or her organization? Can we now paint another scenario to help us understand how this consent can also apply? Okay, maybe I should give us a heads up. You're working with this organization, and there's one sensitive information your boss is asking you to share, and you know that it's against the principle of confidentiality. And your client is now telling, or your boss is now telling you, you know he's your boss. And you have ethical responsibility to your colleague and your organization, right? But in this case, your client or your boss is asking you to distribute or share a very sensitive information. And to worsen the matter, he's calling you on phone to do that. Is there any problem? Is there anything wrong with that? I don't know if Arinze's hand is still up.
Yes.
Okay, please speak.
Okay, there is something wrong with that, because your boss calling you on phone, that's not a professional to do official matters, to handle official matters. There are some sensitive issues that before you get involved with it, the directives must be written down. You must have, they might tell you, because of time, just do it, we'll do the writing letter. And you know that at long run, it's going to put everybody in problem. You tell them no, that the best way is to send me a mail. The mail can cover as evidence instead of calling you on phone, giving you a phone call, telling you to do something that is not, or leak a confidential document, which is not requested by the law or by any other means, professional way. I think the best thing to do is to just tell the person that you can send me a mail. And you are not trying to disrespect the person's office, but you are trying to protect the person. Telling the person, look, we are trying to be safe here, to play safe and professionally. The only way for us to get this done is if you can send a mail requesting that your position, in your capacity, you are telling me to do this out of the professional way. I think that's it. Thank you.
Beautiful submission. We appreciate that too. So you see that it's a very dicey situation. And let me also put it clear. Sometimes your bosses or your boss might be deliberate. That action might be very intentional. Probably there's something you want to benefit from that thing. So even when oftentimes you might see yourself trying to convince him to do the right thing. He knows it's the right thing, but he wouldn't want to sign it. And most times, if the hammer comes striking or looking for who to strike, your boss will disown you. Please take note of this. And you as a boss too, some of us here are big boys, wherever we are working, granted, you should also know the implication of whatever you're asking your subordinates to do. Please. Because oftentimes when the hammer comes looking for who to strike, your boss who gave you that instruction would abandon you. So you want to be careful. You want to be smart. This is where your competency in social work will be tested. Sometimes even when you tell your boss, please, can you write me? Your boss will refuse. He will be acting like he has forgotten. In such a situation, sometimes you can do a text message to your boss. You can do an email. Sir, did you say I should do this? And you will see him reply. Or better still, in most cases, you can record your conversation. Please, always be on top of your game. So that to ensure that you're on the safe side, right? So that is what it means to have informed consents. Social workers must inform their clients. The time frame covered by the consent must inform their clients before taking any decision. Social workers must use clear and simple language that is understandable to the client. If you know the client is struggling with English and you're using English, please look for an interpreter. Arisen made a valid point earlier on when he said, even when your client is signing that consent, please let the client be doing that in a place where he or she is free. Not because of secrecy, you're trying to be this, that you now take the client to a private place. The client later might decide to say, I was subjected to, will I say, I was being pressured to sign. So please try to take that off. And why this is very important is because our clients sometimes, in fact, the reason why a person will come to you to need your assistance is because that person is not okay. That person cannot handle his or her problem. The problem has overwhelmed him or her. Most of our clients at this point are mentally unstable. So don't be surprised when your client tells you A and tomorrow is telling you B. So it won't speak well of you when tomorrow you will not be surprised. Say, is it my client that is arguing, denying he told me to do this? The only thing that can save you from that situation is the informed consent, which will take part, or which will be part of the record you'll be keeping for that client. Another responsibility we have to our clients is confidentiality and privacy. Social workers must respect clients' rights to confidentiality. In fact, throughout your engagements, I wouldn't say important, but one of the principles, one of the ethical considerations in social work that is almost constant and very important is confidentiality and privacy. So whatever you're doing, make sure you respect the client's rights, unless otherwise. And I told us earlier, I pointed it earlier, unless in situations where the confidentiality will expose the client to further harm or those around the clients. And I cited an example earlier, a situation where your client is having suicidal thoughts, wants to kill himself. You will not say, okay, because you want to respect the client's confidentiality or privacy, you will not report the client to a government and a law enforcement agency to deprive him from taking his life. Or your client tells you, I have a problem with my colleague or my brother, and I'm looking at buying a very sharp dagger, and I want to poison that dagger so that if I just give that my client or that my colleague or that my friend a small cut like this, the poison in the dagger will just finish him. They will treat the wound and it will not heal, and he will die from the injury. And you now decide to keep quiet. That information is exposing someone close to the client to harm, and you don't need to keep quiet. If not, you would be setting yourself up for what in law they refer to as accessories before the fact or accessories after the fact. So social workers must be responsible in using information obtained during the helping process to help their clients by communicating with third parties, such as people who are close to the client and have shared responsibilities. So the fact that you are expected to handle private information privately in a confidential way does not mean that persons you don't need to share it with. Like I said earlier, you can as well share those information to your social work, to your fellow colleagues, or even other professionals too, because the same principle of confidentiality that binds you also binds them. So you don't need to be worried when you're sharing this information, your client's information with them, because they are also an ally. They are also parts of that team that are putting efforts, measures in place to address your client's problem. Social workers should also not take liberty with the client, unnecessarily on client's privacy. Social workers should not take advantage of their client, though, because you're close to your client, or your client is telling you his or her privacy, and you know his or her weak points or her insecurities, and you want to take advantage of the client. Bikono, avoid, like I said earlier, avoid the temptation of being sentimentally attached to your clients, and avoid the situation of allowing your client to be sentimentally attached to you. How can you be sentimentally attached to your clients? There's this client, anytime you have encounter with this client, that is when you laugh throughout the day. You're always down as a social worker, but once you see this client, your mood lights up. It's a red flag. You always want to call these clients. You're attached to that client. And how can you know that this client is sentimentally attached to you? Oftentimes, probably, or most time when you're not on call, your client comes and he wants to, if I don't see social worker this, people should leave me. And this same client wants to talk to you even at odd hours. I want to see you at odd hours. That client is sending a message that he or she is sentimentally attached to you. So there is need for you to break that before he puts you into trouble. Another ethical responsibility to our clients we'll be considering is maintaining records. Please, let me emphasize this. From the beginning of your engagement with your clients, make sure you pen down everything that transpired. That is what is going to speak for you. Now, you might wonder, why is it important to keep record? Yes, social workers must maintain record for the sake of the future in the helping process. Most times our clients would depend on support, receiving support from social work or intervention from professionals for.
Daniel, bring that light outside. Bring that light.
Okay. All right, I'm back. Sorry, I had a call. I hope I can be heard.
Are you still there?
I hope you can hear me.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes.
Please, you do well to rename your devices now so that let's know who we have here. Okay. There's this device I'm seeing here. It's showing iPhone what? Please kindly rename your devices. Thank you. All right. So we're saying something about the importance of maintaining records or keeping record in social work in the course of your professional relationship with clients. You see, social workers must maintain record for the sake of the future in the course of your intervention and your professional relationship with your clients. It's very important because oftentimes in a relationship with clients or the services we render to our clients, we might need to render the services for, or our clients may need to depend on us for a very long time, sometimes for as long as they live. Take, for example, those who are into drug and substance use. They might need to depend on the support you give to them as a professional for a very long time. So there's need to keep that record, right, for future purpose. Because you have a lot of clients you'll be working with. So you don't expect to always have each client's details or what transpired in the last engagement fresh in your memory. Okay, so this report tool can also serve the purpose of strengthening knowledge and skill based on the profession. Sometimes when students are sent for field work, it's based on reports like this that students are now assisted to also document their own reports and also know how different cases, even in their absence, how it was handled and how it can be handled or managed. It also serves educational purpose and also can be used to compile textbooks or reference books. This document or this record can also be used to further render services to our clients by another professional. You will not always be there. For example, you are working with a particular agency and they are paying you 100,000. And another agency is coming to say, okay, based on your experience with this agency, we have the same rule. We have an offer for you. And I want you to come and work with us. This time around, we are ready to increase your salary to 200,000 or 300,000. And if you consider the economic situation, you want to leave. And when you're leaving, you're not leaving with the clients and the client's folder. That record is what the next social worker that will be taking up that client's case would depend on to continue to render services to that client. Apart from transfer or apart from moving to another agency, what about resignation? What about transfer? What about even death? So it is very good for us to maintain record. And when you're keeping this record, please ensure your records are clear, because it is also unprofessional to keep records that are not clear. That record is a public document. It's not just for your private use. So it's not just something you say, okay, fine. As far as I understand, it is fine. No. Every other person that should have access or that would have access to that document should be able to read and understand what is written. Another responsibility we have to our colleague is, or our client rather, is physical contact and sexual relations. Social workers should, under no circumstances, engage in sexual activities with their clients, whether they are previous clients, whether they are current clients, and even their future clients. Someone asked, so does it mean if I have a client and we share this chemistry, we should not do anything? Well, I think that should come. Whatever chemistry you share, you should be patient and matured enough to wait till after termination. But then you should also be ready to take the responsibility or the challenges that comes with that decision. There are a lot of challenges that could come with that situation, that decision. Sometimes it could be like, okay, fine. During the course of intervention, you had that intention in mind. So it's possible if you're subjected, if your intervention with that client is subjected to test, to scrutiny, you might not pass the test. You might be found wanting. Because whether you like it or not, if you have that chemistry with someone, that means at some point you would allow your emotion to have its way. And what if one of the partner now decides to want to terminate that relationship? The partner might even decide to take advantage of that situation to say, okay, after all, we're not even supposed to marry. I am not saying it is not possible. It is possible, but I'm just trying to open our minds or our eyes to the negative side of it, so that you should also be ready to take it when it comes. But then, even though you must have any relationship with your clients, let it be after termination. It will be unethical to still have engagement with your client and then having a sexual relationship with your client, right? And we know that sometimes what leads to one having a sexual relationship with your client is not, or what this principle or this responsibility of not having sexual relationship with your client is not just a straight rule. Like we know what it means now to have a sexual relationship with your client now. Until if you're to consider it to be a straight rule, it means that if I flirt with my clients, there is no problem. It means that if I decide to see my clients at odd hours, there is no problem. All those activities that can snowball into sexual relationship should be avoided, like flirting, like calling your clients at odd hours, like seeing your clients at odd hours, and lots more. Social workers should not provide professional services to individuals with whom they had prior sexual relationship. So if your former boyfriend or girlfriend or husband or wife should come to you, please simply refer that client to another social worker. It will do you more good. Another responsibility we have is professional charges fee. Social workers should not charge any fee for professional service rendered to involuntary clients, institutional clients, and clients referred to by agencies where one is employed. So whatever financial benefits you stand to benefit should come from the agency that employs you. Do not try to cajole your clients to give you additional gifts. Please be careful. Social workers, when charging fee from voluntary clients, must ensure that the fee charged are reasonable and fair. And as far as possible, social workers should and must set the fee at the beginning of establishing professional relationship. It's not until after handling the case that's when you now begin to talk about price. From the beginning, tell the clients what you're going to charge and make sure you stick to that. Interruption of services as another responsibility the social worker have to the client is that the social worker is expected to make every effort not to interrupt services to the client. How can services be interrupted? Every weekends or every Fridays when you're supposed to meet with the client because the client is free on Fridays, you have 1 or 2 burials, marriages to attend. It's not bad to attend most of these events occasionally, but when it's too frequent, it's a red flag. It can pose a challenge. Social workers too must inform their clients of their inability to attend to them in unavoidable circumstances as early as possible. So if there's anything that could maybe if you have appointment with your client and you know that it will be possible to meet with your client at that scheduled time, please inform your client on time. Right? These things we are saying, as simple as they sound, it carries a lot of weight. That services you're rendering to your clients, like I said, and I will always say, can still be subjected to tests. In the process of handling this matter or in your professional relationship, you must be careful of what you do. Because if something happened and this your engagement or this your professional relationship is now subjected to test, and they notice that at some point you interrupted services, even when you did other things right, this is going to make you liable to malpractice suits. So you want to be careful, right? And finally, on our responsibility to our clients is termination of services. It is said that whatever has a beginning must always have an end. And I also want to say that sometimes when we talk about termination, that does not mean we cannot continue to give support to our clients, even when you terminate services, right? Social workers intending to discontinue the services to a client for any reason must discuss the matter with the clients and those directly associated with the clients. This should be done promptly without delay. So if you feel that you want to discontinue services or probably you want to refer the clients to another agency, please do well to communicate your client and his or her relative on time. Social workers must also discontinue the services and professional relationship with client when the goals of helping the client have been achieved or completed. So there's no need still engaging the client when the goals or the purpose of that professional relationship has been achieved. So allow the client to go on with his or her normal activities. Well, there are things I would like us to discuss with regards to your seminar. So I would like us to stop here for now and welcome your questions. I've been talking for an hour and almost over 1 hour, 30 minutes. So let me hear if you have any questions or if there are areas I need to make further explanation or probably you have an input. Please feel free to say something before we now talk about your seminar. Please, the floor is open. You can ask the questions, if any. All right, without wasting much time, in the absence of any question, let us briefly talk about your seminar. Between now and early next week, you will receive you get a complete list of all the participants, the candidate here, right? So please, what you will do for me is kindly go through the list. Check to make sure your names are correctly spelled and well placed. By well placed, I mean beginning with your surname, your middle name, and your last name, right? So follow that order. And then make sure your phone numbers are correct. And also make sure your institution or where you're working, that space is also correctly filled. Okay? As well as your reg numbers. Now, when you're checking your reg numbers, also go through to make sure there are no repetition. Because we have situations where we used to have like 2 or 3 persons sharing the same number, but we tried our best to make sure we don't have something like that does not come up, right? We tried our best. I think it's not going to happen, but just make sure your phone numbers, your names, as well as your institution, your place of work, and your school You can either fill that space with your place of work, or if you're still a student, your institution. Just fill it there and let us know. Make sure it is correct, right? Now, in a situation where, because some of the names we received came without some of the phone numbers, or some of the names came with just a name and a phone number, just one name. And we don't know your institution or the organization you're working with, right? So please, if that is your situation, just kindly indicate your serial number. For example, if your serial number is 60 and your names are wrongly spelled or not well placed, you can just say serial number 60, name not correctly, not well written. Write it out the way it's supposed to be. And if the phone number is not correct, type your phone number. And if your institution is not correct, also include your institution and send. I would quietly go through and effect the changes, right? That is that for that list. So expect that list between now and early next week. And please, if you notice, we are still onboarding candidates. Reasons being that some persons were sent this link long time ago, but they did not click to join the group. So we are still onboarding. So what you do is, some of your colleagues that will be coming lately, do well to share information with them. You can either copy those materials and repost, the timetable and repost, informations and repost, just like that, okay? You can as well share knowledge, communicate, network, okay? In fact, as we'll come to know, one of the responsibilities you have to your colleague is that cross-fertilization of ideas, okay? So feel free, as far as it's within the expanded boundaries of what we are doing, the licensing and the Chartered Institute of Social Work, please feel free to communicate. The only time we'll have problems is when you begin to import foreign material, foreign items, or bring in discussions or businesses that does not relate to what we are doing here, right? So feel free to relate with yourselves. And once that list is released, please expect to find yourself in groups. And immediately you'll be placed in groups automatically, right? You'll be placed in groups. And immediately you identify your group, please do well to connect yourselves. Reach out to all the members of your group. And whoever is taking the initiative to reach out to all the members should also create a WhatsApp group for that group where you can be communicating, where you can be reaching yourselves, right? So immediately you see the list and you identify your group, reach out to the group members, and please, once you're doing that, just immediately assume the role of, okay, I think the list will also assign who is going to be the group leader. If not, the person that is reaching out to others should automatically assume the role of a group leader, right? Once you reach out to others, you create your group, immediately create your WhatsApp group and begin to communicate. Choose a topic because there is no time. And let me give you this heads up or these tips. Some of you are already into academics. Some of you are already you have a research work you're carrying out at hand, right? You can do well to present it as part of what we are doing, okay? But just know that everybody needs to be carried along. Everybody needs to contribute, both financially and otherwise, because during the course of presentation, apart from the group leader that will be called to present, 2 other persons will be selected randomly to make comments. So everybody needs to take part in that group arrangement. It's also a way of helping us to up our game when it comes to working as a team. Because as a social worker, for you to be successful in practice, you must be a good team player, right? So that is the few reminders I said I should share with you guys. So expect the list, and as you see the list, also make sure you take note of your reg number. Because that reg number is what you will use to write your exams. Okay, please take note of your reg number. On the list, you find your name, your phone number, your reg number, and your institution or the organization you're working with. Any question on this, please? Why are we not asking questions? Why are we not asking questions?
Hello?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Okay, I can see the hand of
Please,
Dr.
I just joined,
I can see.
I just joined the meeting right now, and I'm not informed of anything at all. I'm not.
Okudili, Mr. Okudili. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, okay. If I heard you clearly, you're saying that you're just coming, right?
Yes, sir.
This class is almost 2 hours since we started, so there's no way we can go back to
Obviously, yes, sir.
what we've said all through. But then the good thing is, it's like every session is being recorded. Okay, so just keep an eye on the platform. Just check your WhatsApp between now, let's say in the next 30 minutes, you get a recorded version of this class, so you can do well to listen to the class, right?
All right, sir.
I hope that's okay.
Yes, it's okay, sir. Thank you.
So next time, you just try to make sure you come on time, okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I saw the hand of Dr. Chingwe Iyanda. Is it down now? Dr. Chingwe Iyanda. Unfortunately, we lost that hand. Any other question? Who is this person raising hand? I cannot see now. Any other question? Okay, someone is saying Yusuf Kehinde is asking, how do we know our reg number? Like I said earlier, your reg number will be attached to the list sent to you, that will be sent to you. All right. So what will make up that once you see the rule where your name appears, just follow through the rule, that column. You will see your name, your reg number, your institution, and your phone number. So where your name is not well spelled or well placed, you tag that message, indicate your reg number, and write out your name and your phone number and your institution correctly. Then we effect the change in the correction, right? So your reg number will be attached to the list. Thank you.
Excuse me, sir.
Okay. Who is speaking?
Yeah. Ozurungozi, sir.
Okay, please.
So the range number you're talking of, are you the people going to send it, or is the one that we are using in our institutions?
No, we are creating one for you guys.
Okay, sir.
You're using the one we are going to give you, assigned to you.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Any other question? Please ask question, and I think you can still add life to our discussion. If you think there's a point we need to emphasize. Yes. Yes, Yusuf.
I want to know the shape of the exam. Is it multiple choice, or I don't know?
Okay, it's multiple choice. It's multiple choice. It's going to be multiple choice, right?
Okay, sir.
And thanks for asking that question. Okay, your exam questions will be based on, especially for me, will be based on the slides, the material for this course. So
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
We can't hear you, sir.
Sorry,
We can't hear you. Network is
Sorry,
bad.
can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So, your questions, you asked the question that if the questions will be multiple choice, I said yes. And I also said that for this, especially for my course, for this course, your questions will be based on the material for this course, SWPCE 602, right? So read in between lines. Your questions will come from your material, the slides, 100%. Okay? And your exams is going to be online. Now, let me share some tips, tips about your exams and the experiences of those that wrote these exams earlier, right? Their experiences. Sometimes people fail, not because they fail in real sense, but because they fail to follow the rule of engagement. There are some persons that after submitting, because they still have time, they will still go back again and rewrite. Please, once you're done, make sure you submit once. And please also avoid the temptation of delaying till you exhaust your time. Because by the time you exhaust your time and it submits automatically, you might likely be losing points. The questions are not difficult. So most of you can even, it's possible to even finish in less than 25 minutes. It's possible to even finish in less than 20 minutes. But you'll be given 1 hour to accommodate poor network and the rest. So in case you have poor network, you still have 1 hour to struggle in between. And if you think you're done, please submit and forget about that course, then wait for the next course. Don't try to go back again and open it to try to write, please. It will alter what you've written. Okay? Then another thing again is, another thing I would like to share with you guys is the fact that you need to be intentional when it comes to your exams. You know, you cannot trust Nigerian network and light, okay? So if you have 2 SIMs, or you know where your network is most likely to be strong, where you used to have strong network signal, please locate that corner on that day of your exams and your presentation. Because you'll be lowering your points if you happen to find yourself where the network is not strong. Because when you're called upon to make comments and cannot hear you, it will reduce your point, the point of your group members and your point too. So we want to be careful, right? So if possible, you can subscribe to SIMs if you have 2 SIMs, or you can go to a location where you can get good network connection. Any question on that? Now, if you fail any course, you'll be given an opportunity to rewrite that course. That means if you fail one course, you will pay an amount to register that course and rewrite it. So try as much as possible. It's not much, it's just 4 courses. Try as much as possible not to fail any. And just follow the rule. You will definitely not fail. Okay? Remember, it is online. All right, I can see the hand of Okudili. And sorry, someone raised her hand earlier on, but I did not recognize the hand. You can do, okay, I think that was edit. You raise your hand, you can still ask a question, please. But let's begin with, okay, fine, I've seen the hand of edit. Please speak.
Hello, good evening, sir. Good evening,
Yeah,
sir.
good evening.
Please, sir, you are talking about bad network. Even in the lectures, we normally experience that. Please, are we going to cyber cafe to go and write this exam to avoid the network hitches?
I don't know. Cyber cafe. You want to go to cyber cafe to share their network? The exams, it's online. It's a kind of Google form. So you don't need any cyber cafe. All you need to do is just make sure you get good network connection. There are places you used to have good network, just go to that place. If it's in your parlor, if it's in your backyard, anywhere, just make sure you have an uninterrupted network signal, okay? The exams, I think, will be in 2 days. So maybe you write 2 the first day and 2 the second day. Someone is asking when will be the exam. The timetable, if you check your timetable, the date for the exams is written there. But with the way it's going, I'm not sure we are still going to work with that date. If possible, we can still, if it's possible, we can still go with that date, but just have it at the back of your mind that that date might be changed because it depends on when we present our seminar. So your exams will come after your seminar presentation. Exams is going to come after your seminar presentation. Okay. Does that answer your question?
Yes, yes, sir.
All right. Okudili, please.
Okay, so you might have talked about the seminar presentation earlier before now, but I still want to ask, it's supposed to be tomorrow, according to the facilitator during the orientation. So which day are we likely to present the seminar?
Okay, that's the reason I said we might likely not go with that timetable because the exams cannot come before the seminar. The exams come after the seminar. So the fact that you're yet to get the, how is it called? The fact that you're yet to get the list, right? The list and your group so that you can proceed with your seminar to write and present your seminar. Just hold on. We would communicate you. And it will be well ahead of time. Like we will tell you today and the exams is tomorrow. We will communicate you on your exams and your seminar well ahead of time. Is that clear? Does that answer your question?
For more clarity.
All right.
Yeah, but for more clarity, the seminar presentation, is it something, the topic, is it something we are going to research on as a group or what?
You say what?
I mean, the seminar presentation.
You're breaking.
Something we are going to research on first before the presentation.
Yes, the seminar presentation. Now, fine. Thank you for that question. You would be assigned to a supervisor. So immediately you get your group members, create a WhatsApp group, choose a research topic, begin to write on that topic, and then communicate your supervisor. Send it to your supervisor. He or she will make corrections and you send it back. You effect those corrections until he approves for you to make presentation. So it's something you will do as a group. And each group, I think it will be between 12 to 8 members per group. Minimum of 8 and maximum of 10 or 12. So it's in group. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And once group is released and the list is given and the topic assigned, I hope we still have the time to do the work.
It depends on the time you think you need. We cannot release the list for group, the list of group member candidates today, and we ask you to do presentation tomorrow. We'll give you time.
All right, sir. Thank you.
A week or so, right? So, but just know that the time will not be that much. You need to walk around to make sure you have something to present on that day of the seminar. Is that clear?
Yes, sir, it's clear.
All right. Inyang Williams said, please change the date because I'm burying my blood brother that day. Thanks. If you're listening to me clearly now, I said, with the way it's going, I'm not sure the day of the seminar is going to hold because we are yet to even get the list of group members. You've not even been supervised. You've not even presented a topic. So until that is done, we are not sure of that date yet. It's not visible. It's not visible. That date is not visible. Okay. I can see the hand of you can see the hand of Victoria ICAT. And Edit, is your hand still up?
Yes, sir.
Okay, please speak.
Please, sir, in the group presentation, are we to give ourselves a topic for research, or we should choose from the manual, or the coordinators will give?
No, choose a topic.
Any topic.
Choose a researchable topic.
Because some are just joining this class after some days. So it's okay,
that is why I said feel free to share information among yourselves on that platform. Communicate with yourself. If you're just coming, ask questions. And you can even private chat yourself, please. Okay? It's not our fault. When persons were added, I sent the link much earlier, but most persons up till today, I'm still sending the link. So it's not my fault, or it's not our fault. Victoria ICAT, can we hear you now? I hope Edit, that answers your question, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Lastly, Victoria ICAT, I think the time schedule for this class has passed. So in no distant time, this class is going to end. So let us wrap it up. Victoria ICAT, please, let's hear from you.
Victoria ICAT. Yes.
Okay.
Please, thank you. Please, sir, I want you to really talk about this exam of thing, because he said it's going to come.
Sorry, you're breaking. I can't hear you.
Hello.
Okay, it's better now.
I want you to really talk about this exam. How are we getting this question? Since you said it's going to come in a slide, is it through our mailbox or through the group? Okay, I thought you talked about Google. So tell us how we're going to get it from the Google so that we really prepare, so that we get to understand it before the set time.
Thank you for that question. Okay. A few days before the exams,
okay,
a link for a demo exams will be released. A demo exams means a practice exams. So you will get a link where you will they will ask maybe random questions, but just to get yourself familiarized with how the exam platform works, how it looks like. So that when the actual exam time comes, you won't be taken unawares, right? So few days to the exams, there will be a link for a demo exams. So you do well to click that link and get yourself familiarized with the exam platform. Now, how would you receive this link? You receive the link on that platform. Okay, so all you need to do is, just like you receive link for your lectures, your classes on that platform, you would also receive the links for the exams on that platform. So all you need to do is just to click on that link, you type in your name and your reg number. So what qualifies you to have access to that document is your name and your reg number. That is why I said you should be, once that list is released, check to make sure your names are well spelled and well placed, right? So that we can correct it before that time. So once you put in your name, for example, since I'm not part of this diet, if I input my name, and of course I don't even have your reg number, I can't have access to it. So once you put in your name and your reg number, you will now have access to the questions. So if the exam is scheduled to start by 9 a.m. and you click the link will be sent 8:59 or 8:58 a.m. So that immediately it is 9, you click on the link and you start writing, right? So even if another person decides to click on the link by 9:30, the person will still write. But once it is 10, or a few minutes past 10, you can no longer have access to the exams or that course. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Well understood. Thank you.
Okay, I can see the hand of Arinze. Please speak. Hello, Arinze. Your mic is muted. Can you unmute your mic? Hello, Mr. Arinze. Okay, that wasn't a serious hand then. All right, so in the absence of, I can still see a hand up. Whose hand is that, please? Please, you can unmute yourself and speak.
Hello, please. I would like to ask. Hello, sir.
Yeah, I can hear you.
I would like to ask, will we need a laptop or we can do the exam with our phones?
You can do it with your phone. You can do it with your phone. But if you have a laptop, fine. Okay, Arinze hand is back. Please, let's hear from you.
Hello, sir. Thank you so much for the lecture. You have been saying something regarding rating, and we have been in this class for a while now. I have not seen my own rating. So when are we going to get rating?
The reg number, that's why I said a list will be released between now and early next week. That list comes with your name, your phone number, your reg number, and your institution. So please, once immediately you see the list, you might not be able to edit it. All you need to do is, if your name is not well written or well placed, just indicate your serial number and type the correct way of the correct spelling of your name, and make sure you place it well so that we can correct it. And make sure to go through your phone number to ensure it's correct, and also your institution as well as your reg number. Please, when you're checking your reg number, check the first 3 or 5 numbers before your own, and check the next 3 or 5 numbers after your own to avoid repetition, so that you won't be using the same reg number like that another person is using. Because by the time you're using the same reg number, the 2 of you will write exams, but you will see one result. So please make sure you use your reg number to write. So as for your reg number, you will get it between today and early next week. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Yes.
All right. Thank you very much. It was nice doing business with you. Take care and enjoy the rest of your night. Please do well to go through the slides. Prepare ahead of our next class. I think our next class will be tomorrow, same time, I think 6 p.m. So that, as usual, we'll be having an interactive session. Good night.
Good night. Thank you, sir.
Hello, sir.
Has gone.
Hello.
Yes.
Yes. Record the audio, please.
You say what?
The audio record that you promised to send.
You get it, please. You will get it.
All right. Thank you.
Nice having you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Good night. Have a nice sleep.